welcome everybody. This is a good buddy of mine, Zack Naegele. We really don't have no script. We're not following nothing. We just gonna talk, and y'all just gonna get to be in the ride for us. This is the TheCodeyKShow, first podcast, so don't judge us too harshly on the first run. But man, what a way to start it out! Besides talking about our good Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Well, since we started there, how do you feel like heaven is? Do you feel like in your heaven are they bucking bulls, or in your heaven?
Man, it's really hard to tell because I feel like we're not going to have no urges or needs when we get to heaven. Like, as cowboys and bull riders and all, we all wish for, they got bucking bulls in heaven and everything, but I feel like all of our wants and needs and everything that we want to do is going to change when we finally get there. I feel like, because eternity's a long time,
yeah, it's forever.
Forever, it's never ending. So you gotta understand, God made us, earth, everything within 7 days. Like, really 6 days, and 7th day he rested. And so just imagine how much more that we got in heaven. And he also said he's making a new heaven and new earth for us afterwards. So do I believe that we'll be able to come back to like a place like this? Yeah, because Jesus does say he is making a new heaven and new earth. So I believe we'll be able to come back, but to a world without sin. It'll be like Adam and Eve when they first started.
Well, I heard a lady one time ask her preacher, she said, she had a little dog, and she was an older lady, most of her family had left. So she fell in love with this dog. It was her, other person. Mm-hmm. And she asked her preacher, she said, is my dog going to be with me in heaven? And he gave her one of the best explanations. He was like, well, I believe that heaven's going to be your heaven. I don't know if everybody's heaven's the same.
Yeah.
Because in my heaven, I hope they're bucking bulls, doing cowboy stuff. We're going to, John Wayne's up there.
Right,
And that's what I hope it is, because I ain't saying that needs would change, but man, I think that God knows my heart so much. He knows that the cowboy way is just so much of me. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping that we up there riding horses, penning cows, because that's heaven to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's the way to live. And see me, like, ever since, now if anybody doesn't know, I ended up getting in a bad wreck a few weeks ago. About 11 days ago, I had a horn go inside of my neck and serrated my small carotid artery. Ooh. And I ended up almost bleeding out in the ambulance on the way there, we was going to the hospital. It was a 20-minute ride, and I could feel myself choking, and pretty much my body was shutting down. Like, all of my organs started hurting really bad, and they was just pretty much just shutting down on me. My body wasn't wanting to work, and the EMTs kept trying to tell me, take a breath, keep breathing, keep talking, and I realized they knew I was dying whenever they switched up from telling me, like, keep on breathing and stuff, to how many family members you've got, where's the places you've always wanted to travel to, and I was like, yeah, these guys know I'm about to die too. And it's a weird feeling, man, because you almost feel yourself passing. Oof. And that's a very scary feeling. And I felt myself passing. I was like, well, God, was this the last time I was ever going to ride a bull? And I pretty much meant business with them whenever I asked that, because in the video you see me sitting on the back of the EMT, the ambulance, and I just kind of sit back and I look up, and that was when I asked him. And that was a personal question between me and him. And he didn't really answer at that point. And I was like, all right, we're about to have to just go through this and take it on like a man.
Yeah.
But I lost my eyesight in the ambulance on the way there. I lost so much blood. I lost my eyesight, so I was blind. It slowly turned into almost like a tunnel. And it started getting real small, and then all of a sudden it was just nothing. But I could still hear.
The blood loss.
Yeah. Your eyesight is the first thing you lose from the blood loss.
Oh, dang.
Mm-hmm. So I couldn't see nothing at all, but I could still hear at this time. And the further and further on we got, I'm having to pray to God, one more breath. Just give me one more. And this is a different ball game whenever you're praying for each and every breath, instead of, God, thank you for blessing me with another day. God, thank you for blessing me with each and every breath, because I lived that. And I did feel my body shutting down, and I felt myself dying. And at first, for the first 3-4 days, it was hard for me to talk about, just because it was so surreal and it happened to me.
Yeah.
And I ain't gonna lie to you guys, I was definitely afraid. I was so scared because I was alone in this ambulance. I feel like God's definitely got more plans for me, that's for sure, if he didn't take me that day, because I was very close to it, and all the doctors and EMTs, they said, man, you're a walking miracle. Because my body started producing its own blood within 15 minutes.
Oh, man.
Without eating or drinking or anything, it just started producing. And between surgery, the injury, and all of that, between 2.5 days, I ended up losing right at 2 gallons of blood.
Did you have to get any blood donated to you?
No, that's what was crazy about it, because they didn't have to do no blood transfusion. They asked me if that was okay, like during surgery, if something was to happen, would it be okay if they transferred blood into my body? And I was like, well, don't let me die. Yeah, that's fine.
Make sure it's filtered. I don't want no diseased blood if you can help it, for God's sake.
But I have a rare blood type, so there was already kind of like a mix up between, hey, we ain't got much of what you need, but in case it does happen, are you willing to take blood? I was like, well, yeah, of course. Don't let me die.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not going to die because my tank's running low.
Yeah. So, but the doctors and all that, plastic surgeons and everything, they was just kind of really amazed about how are you alive? Especially being, it happened Friday night. I got surgery, plastic surgery Saturday morning. Sunday morning, I discharged myself out the ICU. Whew. They didn't even move me from the ICU yet until they was going to Monday morning. But Sunday morning, I was still in critical condition, like I was under care. And man, they turned on they had one channel in there, and it was SpongeBob. And I got tired about watching SpongeBob 4 hours. I was like, yep, it's time for me to get back to Louisiana. I got up, and I went to pulling off all the plugs and wires, the blood pressure checker. I called my buddies up. I said, hey, guys, it's time to go back to Louisiana. And I'm talking all muffled, like, because it was all swolled up. Yeah. And I walked out the room with everything taken off, and all the nurses and doctors was like, what are you doing? I said, hey, I'm going home. They was like, no, you're not. I said, oh, yes, I am. Yeah. I said, it's 8:30. Y'all got about till 9 o'clock to bring me those discharge papers to sign, and I'm heading out. And they was like, no, rethink it. I was like, no, bring the paper. Right. I said, I really do appreciate y'all saving my life and doing all of the critical care and keeping me and everything. All the stuff that y'all did an amazing job. But I'm 12 hours away from all friends and family. I need to get home. So
there's hospitals in Louisiana if I need to go back.
Yeah, I hopped in the car and I still had a drain tube coming out my neck and everything. They haven't even prescribed me antibiotics or no painkillers yet. So I signed that paper. I hopped in the car. My buddy Blade and Anthony, and like I said, he was just turned 18, and this was his only second big rodeo going to. Just trying to get him to break out a little bit and bring him to these bigger shows. Yeah. And he was a trooper, man. He drove all 11 hours all the way home. He said just give him some candy and some drinks, and he's good. Yeah. And what
a way to break out. Watch your friend almost die and have to drive all the way home.
Right. I definitely fed him to the wolves. Threw him to the wolves. And but man, them two, they definitely was a big help. They got all my all the way down to the glove, my chain, picking up my chains and necklaces, all in my ribbon bag, packed up nice and neat. So I owe a lot to them guys, but drove all the way back home. I got out the car, said, thank y'all. They took off back to the house. I fell asleep at my house Sunday night. Woke up, called another person, and said, hey, I need to readmit myself into the hospital. And I was hurting. Yeah. All the way home, I was hurting. And I said, hey, need to get you to bring me to Livingston. Went to Livingston. They redid all the MRIs and CAT scans, said I was good. And the hospital actually gave me a sticker to put on my band so that way the next hospital could only scan it and all my paperwork would pop up. Okay. Well, I went to this hospital in Livingston, and it was a stand-up hospital, so they didn't have that technology. Oh, yeah. So they had to contact them, and we had to figure out what was the name of the hospital. Yeah. And finally, they did all the CAT scans, everything, got me prescribed antibiotics and painkillers, and was like, well, everything else is good. You ready to go.
They ran a CAT all over you?
Yeah. They pretty much ran one all over me and made sure they ran that iodine through me where it makes you all warm.
It didn't cut you any? Claws on the CAT?
Nope. Oh, you know. No, they ran me through that big, huge metal machine.
I know what you're talking about. I was just talking trash.
Yeah. But it was that was definitely kind of, everybody was just looking at me like, man, you just walked in here with your head all halfway sawed off. How are you walking and talking and
look like a cartoon character, probably.
My whole face was all swelled up. I could barely talk. I was over here mumbling and
looking straight off of Men in Black.
Yeah, basically pretty much. Man, they was really shocked how fast I was making a recovery, and I really give it all to God because I think God ordained all of this to be able to give me the platform to let people know really how we make a living at this, how well these animals are treated, and what we do and what we have to sacrifice to be able to live this life. Fear of like, I'm running out of time.
Right, yeah.
And immediately I went to putting all my work into riding bulls, and from a month later, that was when I quit my job, and I was living off bull riding from August till today.
Well, man, rodeo is a hard way to make a living, and you kind of gotta, I wouldn't say, burn your bridges, but to be good at any extreme sport, you almost have to become comfortable at being uncomfortable.
Right.
And once you get that figured out, then it's like fighting bulls, and that's, I rode bulls for a little while, and I was decent. I could get by a bucker every now and again, but I really found my call in fighting bulls, man. And I think it's just because I was just a few marbles short of a bull rider. I didn't, and I knew how it was to be in a bind and need somebody to come and nobody be there.
Yeah.
And it's like I tell people all the time, fighting bulls is pretty simple. You can teach a monkey how to do the fancy, getting around them and, how to freestyle. It's just learning dance moves.
Right.
But when somebody's hung up, and it's fixing to be a crash, and you gotta go, a lot of people ain't got that let's go to them.
Yeah, and I've been hung in my rope a few times with them guys that don't really have that in them, and I'm just sitting there like looking at them, help me, I'm all in a bind. And, that's why we cherish good bullfighters like you and stuff, and great guys because you guys really get us in a bind, you save our careers, and you also just get us being able to get out sometimes injury free. And that's really what we love the most about it.
Well, I tell you what was a big part for me was when I was riding, I got hurt in Colorado. My granny come and got me. It was like, if you're coming home, bull riding days are done. I'm not going to sit beside your bed and watch a machine breathe for you. Right. No more. So after I got healed up, I found the loophole in the agreement. She didn't say nothing about fighting bulls. And we owned a bunch of bucking bulls. So not only be practicing, I'd buck bulls on a Tuesday afternoon, at lunch, just trying to get people to come. And I'd always have these two guys, and I'm talking about some of the best. Did you ever hear about the LaBruza twins? Mm-hmm. Oh man, probably two of the best in the business to ever do it. And I mean tough. They would come when they could, but they had work and stuff. So finally I asked them, I was like, teach me how to do this. And man, they crashed me out a few times. And I think the reason was just to let me know that you can get run over and not die.
Right.
But what my papa told me once I started trying to go down the road, it's almost like he told me riding bulls. He was like, man, if you turn out a good one, he said, don't come home. It's like bringing home a boyfriend to him, because he lived rodeo. He been raising bucking bulls since the 50s.
Just tough.
And
old school.
No, definitely. Lots of good ones have come and gone through our place. Mm-hmm. And he told me fighting bulls. He was like, look, I love you. And he said, you always have a place here. He said, you're fighting bulls now. He said, and if I ever hear of somebody being in a bind, and he's like, I don't care if they're caught in a calf rope, horse dragging them, I don't care if they're in a bareback rigging, stuck. If I ever hear of somebody in that arena being in a bind and you're not getting in the middle with them, he's like, your stuff will beat the cattle guard.
Whew.
You know what I mean?
Hey, that's a different type of drive.
Yeah, I was scared of being homeless, baby. If there's a wreck, I'm in the middle of it with you.
Yeah.
We both gonna ride the gurney out of here.
Yeah, because if I don't, I'm homeless.
Yeah. So
that's another meaning.
Yeah, and it just really taught me that, and man, I'm like you, I'm a big believer in faith, and I believe, if we die today, it was written in the book yesterday.
Yep.
And what a better way to go out than doing what you love.
That's for sure. And I've always felt that, I grew up from no type of rodeo background, no type of bull riding background, anything. It was one of them things where I watched me and my real father, we would watch the PBR, like right when J.B. Mooney first started and all that back in early 2002, 3, 4.
I think he broke out in 07.
It might have been, yeah. And I watched it all the way up from when I was very young, because I was born in 2000, and all the way up till about 2009 was right until I stopped watching it.
Oh, you a baby, man.
Yeah,
you a baby.
24 years old.
Yeah, man.
But I come from no rodeo background, and nobody ever really seen it coming until my freshman year. 2016, I found this place. Somebody was riding bulls at my high school, and I was like, hey, I want to try it.
Right.
Where are you going? And his name was Trey Stewart, actually. And he was like, hey, we'll come out here. This place is called Cross Brain Cowboy Church. And I went out there my first time, 15-year-old. I I wore old mud boots, skinny jeans, and like a long sleeve shirt, I think it was, but no business being out there. Everybody could tell I do not come from no rodeo background. And I think it was like an American Eagle shirt I come out there with. And I tried to be fancy. Well, they loaded up this first bull, and it was a starter bull, but the starter bull had horns, about 3-foot horns on each side. And I remember his number 15 is what they called him. Big old white bull with orange spots all over him.
Yeah.
All he did was go out there and just kind of bounce around, hop. And
he had that look to him, though. Yeah. They kind of pull your mind off of what you're here to do. Yeah.
It was like, hey, you did get on this one. I was like, that one? Why not these or the smaller ones? And this was like the biggest one there. And it was like, no, this one. I didn't have no gear. My buddy, at the time, I didn't know him, but his name was Bodie Burnett. We ended up becoming good buddies and stuff. He let me borrow his helmet. I have a little peanut head. His helmet was 4 sizes too big, so I could grab it and move it all around, put it straight on and off.
Yeah.
So I got on this bull and I rode this bull. The first bull I ever been on, I rode 8 seconds.
Not a lot of people can say that.
Right. And now, granted, the bull didn't really do much. He just kind of went out there and bounced around. But after that very first time, the reason I come off was because that helmet kept on coming up off my head, and I tried to grab it and pull it back down, and that's when I fell off. But ever since then, I was hooked. Man, it was like a drug, the worst drug that you could ever think of. And I was hooked every single Sunday. It was like clockwork. I would be there every time trying to learn and just get on as many bulls as I possibly could until finally I ended up becoming the test dummy at the church.
Oh, man, yeah, that's when it sucks. That's how I grew up, you know.
They knew I would put my hand in a rope, get on anything. Didn't matter what he did, how hard he bucked, or anything like that. I was getting on him, and I was a trial. And if I couldn't ride him, I was going to keep getting on that bull every Sunday until I finally did. And I think that's really what made me who I am today, because I wasn't scared to put my hand in a rope.
Right.
Now, granted, I got hurt a lot because of that.
Yeah.
Even sometimes my preacher, Randy Smith, he'd come up and look at me, look at my bull rope, and take my bull rope off some bulls because he knew there's no business for me getting on these bulls. But I didn't really care. I just wanted to prove something to myself.
Yeah.
It was never to other people. I wanted to prove that I can ride this bull, and these people's opinions about me does not matter because my opinion about myself matters more.
Ooh,
and that's really what made me who I am today.
I definitely get the test dummy, man. My brother growing up, I feel like he tried to kill me. I really do. Because, we was buying bulls and going through them. We'd buy a bull and he'd be trying to, we'd get them from the stockyard a bunch. We bought bred to buck, but we'd just be trying out bulls after bulls. And we bought one day, and he jumped up trying to get the auctioneer. Like he was a man eater. And all the way home, I'm early into my bull riding career. And I'm like, hey, you ain't gonna make me get on him today, huh? We're gonna calm him down. It's like, no, yeah, we're gonna get him shoot broke and all that.
Right.
We get him in the chutes and get him at home, worm him, tag him and all that. And he's like, man, he's already in the chutes. You might as well just get your bull rope.
Yep.
And and believe it or not, he was a Holstein Jersey cross.
Yeah.
And we ended up selling him to a fellow named Johnny Ackles, which is Flying J out in Texas. And and God rest his soul, he was a good man. I love Mr. Johnny. But he ended up buying him from us. But dude, that's from the first time we cracked the latch in the door, kicking over his head. And just eating everything around. And I just remember thinking, man, I thought you said you weren't going to make me get on him, And we go to practice sometimes at other people's places. Mm-hmm. And they'd load a crazy one. I'm talking about he's tearing the chutes up. Literally, one bull had 8 flank ropes tied down the bucking chutes because he was just flipping and jumping. Yeah. I go to find my stuff. I'm trying to put it in my bag so I can say, my stuff's up. I would get on him, but I done packed up, took my boots off.
Right.
Couldn't find my bull rope. I got looking around, and I see my brother standing on the top of the bucking chutes.
Oh, man.
Putting my damn bull rope on him, man. And I'm like, God.
You can't get out of this one.
Man, and the thing about me, I ain't gonna lie, I would get scared. But I was too scared to let anybody else know that I was scared.
Right.
So I'd crash out, man. I'd play the game and talk the talk, but I ain't gonna lie, on the inside, I was about that big. I was a mouse running a big machine. I'd be like, golly, I don't want to get, heck yeah, I'll get on that sucker. But in my mind, I'm trying to, I would, but I pulled my growing,
Man, what hurts on my body that I can say?
Yeah, what makes sense with what I've done today that they'll believe. But, but like you said, that's what made me tough is I went through so many experiences that I feel like would kill an average man.
Right.
And I just come out the other side.
And that's really what breaks apart from people that just want a picture on a bull to a real bull rider is is if they've never been hurt yet and they getting on everything, you know, they don't have that thought of, oh man, this hurts, because they've never experienced it yet until they actually get in their first wreck. I was riding 2 months and I got hung up on a bull named Shadow. And when I say how this bull bucked, it was like you blow up a balloon in your hand and you let it go. Oh. And that was how he was.
Yeah, and they eliminator just all over.
Everywhere. He might turn back one time and then continue running and just everywhere. He'll go right, left, up, down. He'll throw the kitchen sink at you. It doesn't matter.
Do everything but pull a knife on you.
Right. And I got hung up on this sucker. I got on him a couple weeks before. He bucked me off 2-3 times. And I finally was like, man, I'm going to ride this bull today. Well, I did ride him. That day I did ride him. And sure enough, I went over to his shoulder and got hung up, and this bull drugged me forever. He drugged me all the way to the one side arena, all the way to the back, to the left side arena. And you know Randy's pen is pretty wide at the church. He drugged me from one side back to the other side, and I'm knocked out at this point. He done cracked me in the face a couple times, and now I'm dragging, and it's just my body. He finally drugged me all the way back to the middle, and it's pouring raining today. He stepped on my back with both feet, slipped and fell on top of me. And that was my hand finally come out. And you have Randy Smith, Norwood Strong, all them older guys and younger guys. There's like 15 people running out there screaming, hollering, trying to get this bull.
Right.
Finally, the bull slipped and fell on top of me, and my hand popped out. And everybody went to putting bets. He won't be back. He won't be back. We won't see him ever again.
Yeah.
Sure enough, I was right back next Sunday getting on, and that was 2 months of riding bulls, and that was my first experience ever getting hung up. And still today, the worst time I've ever been hung up.
That reminds me of a saying. It's what I like to tell the younger generation, because I go to some of them young bull ridings and stuff, and them kids will be sitting in there. I'm telling them about throwing a fit. And, you know, them old school daddies is like, you think this is rough? Wait till I get you home. You better shut your hand. So I like to go up to the bucket chutes, kind of calm them down and build them up. And I like to tell them, you know what the difference between a boy and a cowboy is? Mm-hmm. Do you know the difference?
Somebody that follows through with it.
Well, a boy, when he gets scared, he's probably not going to do it.
Yeah.
But a cowboy, when he gets scared, he saddles on up and he rides anyway.
Oh, yeah.
It ain't even a choice.
Yeah, and that's why I mean, like, proving something to myself. If that bull scared me in the pen, or if that bull had everybody else nervous and scared, that's the one I want. Just to prove to everybody else that bull is rideable, and he's not what y'all made him think. Because everybody comes up with opinions about bulls, and that's why you got to be very careful when you show up to the rodeo and say, hey, that's why I don't even ask what that bull does. Because at the end of the day, it don't matter. And at the end of the day, if somebody who can't ride that bull, he's going to tell you a horror story about him. Oh, he's bad, he does this, he's wishy-washy, yada, yada. Somebody that can ride bulls good and have rode them, they'll tell you nothing but good stories about that bull. It's all perspective in riding bulls.
Well, my papa used to tell me, and I learned it the hard way myself, just going to, good people. I traveled with Tony Mendez for a while, and and he just got invited. I wasn't on the PBR, but he was, and I was hauling bulls. I was still getting on them at the time. And I'd just get on practice pen stuff, but he'd get invited to some of the best places, because he was top 45. Shout out to Tony. Good guy, rank bull rider. But my papa had always told me it, but as I got out and got to travel the country, you just started hearing it and seeing it more and more. He would say, don't even ask, because some bulls, yes, I've had a few that every time they stuck their head out, they done the same trip, don't understand it.
Yep.
But they got a mind of their own. They're just like another person.
100%.
You know what I mean? And I lived with a real good bull, man. His name is Vernon Guidry. And he's like, I call him the mad scientist of the bucking bull world. Like he's a crossbreeder, man. He gets them. And he's the one that really told me that too. He's like, just when you think he's going to do, like he hauled this one bull, man, and he'd been to the NFR 2-3 times. And one time he took him to the NFR, like the bull's third or fourth time going. And then all of a sudden he didn't feel like being a bucking bull no more. He's like, don't ever bet the farm on any of them. You know what I mean?
Right.
And hearing it come from like what I consider legends, like I think Mr. Vernon is a legend. He'll go down as a legend, Hall of Fame to me. But hearing the same stuff that my papa had said from out there, I was like, maybe he knew a little more than what I gave him credit for,
Yeah, and I've been on plenty of bulls that have been going left. Their whole entire, I ride right-handed, so somebody would say, oh, that bull goes left. And I've seen the bull personally go left every single time for years and years. I'll get on him, that's our go right.
Yeah.
And I'll try to make that move to the left, and he's going right. And I've I've screwed myself plenty of times doing that by just trying to set up a game plan, and that's why it's all mindset. Like, the only time I ask somebody, hey, what's that bull, is so I can find him.
Right.
As soon as stock contractor goes to saying, oh, he's good, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
I don't even know if he's good, if he's rank, if he's trash. Either at the end of the day, we don't have the choice to draw what we have.
Right. Not at most bull ridings,
Right.
Some they'll let you
Right.
do a little draft, but
But,
in the old days, no, it would stick your hand in the hat and pull a number out.
Yeah, and either way, the only time you really get to pick your bull is in a short round, and that's
Right.
whenever first place gets to pick their bull first and all. But
Yeah.
showing up, you have no choice what you draw, and at the end of the day, you have to ride your bull for the rest to come with it.
Yeah.
If you don't ride your bull, the money don't come with it, the winnings, the buckles, none of that. Nobody talks about somebody that falls off their bulls right out the gate, and that's why it's all mindset, because you got to show up and know, no matter what you draw, that bull's going to fit you, and it's going to be a money bull, because you're going to ride them no matter what, at all costs. And I see way too many times nowadays, guys like at a finals or something, oh, this guy's got this much money, this guy's sitting in this place, first, second, how many points do I need to get? Man, that's wasting time and energy. No matter what, you have to ride your bull at the end of the day and let the cards fall where they fall. Let the judges score you, because they're here to get paid for that, not us.
Right.
Don't even think about it, and ride your bull, because the rest comes with it.
And that's like what I say at the practice pen. People sometimes be like, that bull, he's not for the practice pen. I don't want to get on him. I'd be like, you got to ride them all. I hate to tell you.
Yep.
When I used to buck my bulls, I wouldn't allow them to pick and choose. I'd go to each bull rider. I'd be like, pick a shoot.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't run them in to make sure, whatever bull ran in, 'cause that's how my brother did me.
Yeah.
And sometimes, 15 people would call, and we'd bring, 18, 19 bulls, and 4 people would show up.
Oof.
So we would let them, kind of pick and choose what they wanted to get on, and then I had to get on the rest.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
And like you said, you've known Billy Felinski your whole life.
Oh,
and all,
yeah.
And I grew up across the Knox, so I was over there at the BK Ranch getting on at their little arena right there next to the road.
Woo.
I can't tell you how many times I've watched them. We'll rope a bull out there, and they'll drag them up. Never seen humans before in its life.
Come off the island.
Yep. Throw them in a chute, and they're like, hey, Zach, get on him. Like, oh, all right.
I remember the good old days of Billy getting them, man, and they come running through the chute. Their horns is pointed like a knife. Yeah. He'd take a dang a tennis ball, cut the tennis ball, shove it over it, and tape it on there.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because if they didn't buck, they go into the stockyard in the morning, they will cut their horns.
Right.
Man, yeah, the BK, it was either get tough or die.
Yeah, make you or break you, that's for sure. And I've watched plenty of cowboys and guys that wanted to be bull riders. It'd break them. It'd break them quick, and you could call out the herd really quick over there at the BK Ranch, because some of them bulls were so mean, they try to bite you.
Yeah.
Them bulls would try to turn around, bite you in the chute, and they're all hopped up on that fruit, and that fruit will ferment, so now you just got a whole bunch of mean, drunk, pissed off cattle that you got to get on.
I used to tell people that Mr. Billy, how he looked at a bull was, if he bucked, good, okay, he's a good bull. If he hooked, hell yeah. And if he bucked and hooked, it's even better. That's how, because Mr. Billy, he sure liked them to hook.
Right.
I think he had got enjoyment sometimes watching him get,
Sure enough. I've watched guys get hooked down, and I turn around and look at Billy, and that man would be smiling ear to ear. And then he'd get a kick out of it. And that's just how Billy is. And some guys, I know a few guys like that.
Yeah.
It's just part of it. Now, Cross, he's got his own deal going on, and they done moved the whole ranch pretty much over to Alabama.
I remember that's what you were saying.
And they got all their fighting bulls over there. They're doing very well for themselves. Cross and Knox.
Knox is a world champ, but is it UBF?
UBF world champion bullfighter, and now I think he's kind of sticking to them PBRs a good little bit.
Yeah, I've been seeing him on TV, man. He's really blowing up.
Yeah, that's a check. That's a guaranteed check every weekend.
And it's a good one too. Heck no. Well, when you got the talent that he does, ain't no need to stay around, the pumpkin pullings for long.
Right, and I've always trusted Knox with my life. If he's out there in that arena, hey. I'm okay, because I know he'll take a lick for me, and he has before plenty of times. And usually I've never been somebody just to lay there on the ground. Yeah. I've always been told, get out the arena.
Get up and run.
Even with this horn that went in my neck, I seen the blood spewing out about 3 foot every time, and I was like, yep, this ain't good. So I walked straight to the ambulance and sat down. I was like, hey, we got to do something about this.
I need some help.
Yeah, that was for sure. I definitely was in a bind.
Man, you got your little shaving scar too, don't you?
It's big. It was about 6-inch cut that they had to gash up, and he went all the way in, basically to the bottom of my tongue. And the bull was tipped. He was in regulations. The stock contractor takes very good care of them bulls.
Yeah.
His name was Swamp Donkey, and I told a couple people, he did snatch one of my chains off of me. I was like, man, Swamp Donkey done stuck me in the neck and snatched my chain. He was really about that life.
Yeah, burglary almost held you up.
I would love to get a chance to get back on that bull, though. No hard feelings. Bull has a job. I got a job. And, you know, we both go out there and do the same thing. It was just freak action.
Yeah, and they happen every day, too. Car wrecks, plane crashes, especially more here lately. I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah, I don't know. Especially planes and stuff like that. Hey.
Yeah, I might be fitting to start taking trains.
Yeah, I might go back to horse and wagon. So.
Yeah, my luck, the horses run off.
Yeah, with all the electronic stuff that the vehicles got nowadays, I think I'll trust the old 12 gen way before.
Yeah, ain't nothing but manual.
Yeah.
I think you got it figured out with the horse and buggy. I can shoot the horse, the sucker runs off with me.
Right. But a plane, man, you kind of in a bind. You just strapped in. You better hold on and take a ride.
I heard Jerry Clymer say one time, he was like, I ain't worried about, if it's my time to go, but what if it's the pilots?
Yeah, that ain't no. What if it's the pilots? Now we all got to go down.
Yeah, shoot. I guess it was everybody's time if it is time.
Yeah, I guess so. But,
oh, man, there's a lot that have no idea. Like in big cities, they don't even know rodeos exist, until they hear it, but they don't know nothing about it.
Right.
And then half of them want to go be, bleeding hearts.
Mm-hmm.
The poor bulls are treated so bad.
Yep. And there was a lot of, like on Fox, I was on the Fox 8 and actually the main Fox channel. Mm-hmm. I was on NBC, ABC. Fox really cut out a lot of the godly parts of my story and what I was talking about. NBC and ABC News, though, I really do give them a lot of credit because they added everything. Yeah. And also WABS from Baton Rouge News Channel, that was who came to my church and actually videoed me at the church, put Cross Brand on the map. And that's really what I wanted to do. Since that church has given me so much in life, I wanted to give back. Man, make sure them pews are all filled up. Bring all the kids you can. Like, everybody says bull riding's a dying sport, but really I think it's becoming a lot more mainstream. A lot more kids are wanting to get into it. Mm-hmm. But what's really dying is the older generation and older gentlemen not wanting to reach out and help these younger guys and to learn the right way.
But they kind of want to, I ain't saying, they all, but a lot of them kind of like to keep it in-house.
Yeah.
Oh, I know his dad, so I'll help him. But on another scale, I see a lot of, like around here, they got a lot of, younger deals. They got the legends, and
they got those Dirty South bull riders over there in Louisiana. They give out a bunch of prizes and stuff.
Yeah, and it's really drawing in. Like they got everything from sheep to the one I actually did my first announcing rodeo about 3 weeks ago in Bogalusa, and they had it from like 8 to 12. 13 to 15, 15 to 17, and then 18,
Junior, senior.
Yeah, they had like 9 different deals, and it was a really good good environment for kids to come out and have a good time. Even the kids riding the sheep, they felt like they were superstars. They do the same thing at Legends, too. They got different scales, and boy, they give out some prizes at that Legends.
Yeah, shoot, that's why sometimes I wish I would have started out a little younger, because I'd have way more buckles now, but I'm glad I started when I started. I started at 15. I'm 24 now, so 9.5 years of riding, and I feel like I'm the only one of the friend group that is still riding bulls.
Right.
Yeah, so I had to tweak and pretty much fix my friend groups a little bit and move friend group to find those people that I want to be like.
That's what you're supposed to do.
Right.
You're not the only person that's going to be with you your whole life is yourself.
Right, and you got to find people that's doing better than you, so it makes you want to grow and become better, and birds of a feather flock together. So if you hang out with champions, you'll be a champion.
That's right. That's right. I've heard people say that if you're sitting at the table and you're the smartest one, you're at the wrong table.
Exactly, and that's pretty much what it is. Your network is your net worth, and especially in the bull riding world, if you hang out with people it's no problem at all to be a hometown hero, but that's not me. And I've heard people say that, like, I just want to be a hometown hero, and that's cool and all, but I can't hang out with you because I want to be more than that. So I got to find friends and family and people that's wanting to help me that have already achieved what I want to achieve to show me and hang out and get that mindset.
Well, not just, not just that, but the ones that's been there and done that and that don't mind helping you, there are secrets to the trail that the average person don't know.
Right.
There's certain ways to go about. There's certain people to get you talk to. There's like sponsorships. There's people out there that know how to get them. And there's those that don't. There's ways to enter rodeos to where you can go here on Friday night, here Saturday morning, here Saturday at lunch, Saturday night, Sunday. There's literally a science to this. Like everybody talks about Cowboy Christmas during 4th of July run. If you don't plan it right, then you're not going to make the run, you know. And it's not that somebody's fault that they don't know it, but they just never hung out with the ones that done it. And there's always ways, right ways and wrong ways, and multiple right ways and multiple wrong ways. But there's definitely right ways that make fit the bill a lot easier.
Right.
And traveling with the ones that do, it definitely helps you learn,
100%, because you got to treat rodeo just like a business. Your body is your business. I mean, if you're too broke up or too, just hurt and injured and still trying to ride through it and not taking the actual time. Now, granted, have I been cowboying a few times and dislocated my shoulder and just take my arm up and have my buddies tie my hand in? Yeah, I've had cross tie my hand in a couple of times.
But when you're hungry, you're hungry.
Exactly. And I knew I had to ride or I'm going home with nothing. At the Buckmasters event in 2023 Buckmasters event, I got on a bull called Ugly, just a little downhorn, but he walked out the chute with me and then started bucking.
Oh, I had a bullet done that.
Well, I ended up coming off and I landed on my elbow and my socket come out from the top. And he turned back around, and when I rolled over, my socket ended up jamming underneath my collarbone and got stuck. So that whole ball was stuck right here on my collarbone, and it had me like this. So I went to the hospital, and I sat with my arm out for about 3 hours, and that sucked, man. I started panicking because of pain, but I wanted to sit there and watch my buddies ride, so I waited till Cross and Laramie Craig got on their bulls, and I was like, all right, now it's time for me to go to the hospital. So they loaded me up, and they drove me to the hospital. They said, all right, well, sorry about it, but it's going to be a 2-hour wait. And I was like, man, I need something for pain. She was like, well, I can't give you nothing yet. I'll give you a Tylenol. I was like, man, I can't do no Tylenol. I need something a little bit
I
stronger.
almost need you to stick the IV in there now. Let's get something going.
And I was like, I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just hurting real bad. And I sat out there for probably about 45 minutes. And they brought me into the Jackson, Alabama hospital. And in the room, I guess somebody got shot because there was blood all over the floor still.
Woo!
This man's hair was still on the table, and I didn't care. I just, screw it. And I just hopped into bed. And last thing I remember right before I went out, it was 3 big old cornbread fed nurses walking in with white sheets. I said, oh boy. And I was out. But when I woke up, they already had my arm in a sling. And the next day I go to the bull riding, and I'll go to tell them like, hey, I got to draw out tonight. I look at the draw, and I was like, I seen the number next to my name, and this is a bull that I've been wanting to get on for 2 years straight. And I was like, oh, dude, take my money. I paid my entry fees. And before I got on, I had my buddies they taped my arm up just like this to my hip. And they rolled all that athletic tape. They rolled it all up. And I ended up putting my Western shirt back on. And I got on just like this. And Cross done pulled my rope and tied my hand in. And I slid up and I got on the bull. And I about rode him about right at 5 seconds. He just lunged forward on me and went the other way. And I couldn't reach to the front. And he slammed me, and everybody was like, is your arm still in? I was like, yeah, I'm good. But it made a few people invite me to their bull rides because they said, man,
how tough you was.
Yeah, you don't see that nowadays. And I was like, well, this is what I want to do. And I think I've done proved it plenty time and time again, especially after this incident. It done shook the whole rodeo world, news channels, everybody.
Reaching all kind of different avenues now.
And they're like, well, is that the last one? You hanging it up? Oh, no. That done lit a new fire in me to come back better, stronger, and now I have something to prove to myself that even though this was scary and stuff, it happens, it's part of it. I still want to ride bulls because that's who I am.
Right. I kind of had a similar deal. I was at the bull sale in Gonzales, at BK's bull sale. I got on a bucker, man. And I rode him, but I went to jump off of him, and I was going off like this, but he turned back up underneath me.
Ooh.
And when I landed, instead of your elbow bending like this, I hyperextended it.
Ooh.
It come around and touched my shoulder. I thought I had just dislocated my elbow, so I stayed and watched a few of my buddies. Kendall Terrio?
Mm-hmm.
I think he ended up winning the dang thing. But I went to the hotel that night and just gonna be cowboy, Got me a leather belt, some Jack Daniels, took me a few shots. I was like, all right, my brother, I was like, relocate my elbow, bit that belt. When he snatched on it, I woke up in the hospital. I didn't know that I tore all the ligaments in my elbow, so I ended up having to, be like you in a sling. Well, we was bucking bulls a few weeks later, and a few other people would bring bulls.
Right.
We'd practice on a good bit of them. Well, this guy had brought this one. I was kind of a shit talker back in the day. I'd talk that shit, and I was good at it. And that guy brought this calf that I've been wanting to get on. Man, he wasn't rank, but he was just really good and looked fun. He'd blow up real high.
Just under himself?
Yeah, just get up there, and then when he would turn back, man, it was almost like he would stay underneath you.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, I really want to get on him. And like I said, my brother, I felt like he was trying to kill me half my life. That's why I turned out semi-tough. He was like, you gonna get on him? And I'm sitting here like you. I'm taped up, but in a sling. I had to drive a standard at that time, man.
Oh, man,
you know how hard it was to steer, let go, pull my bulls. But I was like, you know what? And this was my riding hand. I was left-handed. I'm right-handed, but I rode bulls left-handed.
Yeah.
And we watched bull riding all the time. And I always used to watch old Guillermo Marchi and old Adriano. Man, they'd have their elbows taped. And he's like, man, we'll just tape you. And I was like, you know what? Let's do it. I ain't gonna lie, I was scared. I didn't want to get on him, but I was talking that if I get on him, I'd spur him today.
Right.
I'd ride him. I'd spur him.
You had to back it up.
Yeah, my brother was like, well, you can get on him. And kind of pulled my tail out from underneath me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you know what? Like I said earlier, I was too scared to let people know I was scared.
Right.
So I'd gas on it. So I got on him. And I ended up riding him, but it wasn't because of how good I was. It was literally because the bull just would not get out from underneath me.
Right.
But it was so fun. And what that done was mentally tell me that even though when you think you can't, you don't got no more gas in the tank. And it's like I listened on a podcast the other day, and I forgot the guy's name that was saying it. When you get to the point, they call it the 30% or the 40% rule.
Yep.
When you get to the point where you think you're out of gas, really and truly, you got about 30 more percent left.
Yep.
And that can be an energy or mind focus or power to say, I can do this. Yes, it hurts, but don't get me wrong. There is some injuries.
Yeah.
No matter how much your mind wants to, the body's not going to allow you.
Right.
But that just wasn't one of them. But so I just want to get that out there. There are some injuries that, man, when the doctor tells you don't need to get on, you got your bell rung.
You might need to listen.
Yeah, you might need to listen. So I don't want to say not listening to the doctor is a good idea. Listen to him, especially with some injuries. I just didn't want to.
Especially anything neck.
Yeah, neck, brain.
Mm-hmm.
You only got, as much as I like to say you got to be tough, but you only got one life.
Right.
So you really got to, and there's a strategy to it, like I used to hate watching Brazilians take a 60-point ride.
Mm-hmm.
But, you watch one of them, got 3 world champions out of it. I forgot his name, but he took more rides that were 60 points and under 70, but he ended up winning the average. Who would have figured that?
Right, and see, I want to ride the ones that everybody talks crap about, just because it's all energy and rodeo. Somebody to say, man, that bull's a piece of junk, and it's happened to me plenty of times, like bulls on the beach last year. Matt Jordan had this bull called Pull Noodle.
Who I love, Mr. Man.
And so do you know that big old white boy he's got?
Yeah.
Pull Noodle, and they call him Pull Noodle, and I was like, oh man, I like that bull.
Yeah.
I was apparently the only guy that liked that bull out of the entire other bull riders, because everybody was like, oh. I was like, nah, he's going to be good with me. Watch. Y'all talking all this smack. The bull's going to be out there, and he's going to be nice tonight. They was like, oh, well, he out there. He's out of line. I was like, well, you got to ride the bull more than 2 jumps, but nobody does, because everybody I've seen fall off right there. He go out there a little bit sideways and then come back around to right.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, no, I'm telling y'all, he's going to be good with me. He's going to be good. And the bull ended up getting me down 7.8, but he was high mark bull of the night.
Oh, dang.
And he was high mark bull of the night. And I was like, now, look,
Yeah.
All you guys was talking crap. Now all of y'all want to get on. Granted, bull was junk the next Friday, Saturday night.
Yeah.
But with me, He was great,
Yeah.
just because I knew he was going to be good,
Yeah,
and I
that
wanted to
feeling.
prove. Yeah, I wanted to prove everything to everybody else. I ended up coming back and winning it Friday night. Won the buckle for Bulls on Beach and all.
Oh, nice.
They end up 7-8 me Thursday. I won it Friday, and then I was 7-9-9 Saturday.
Yeah.
On another one of Matt Jod's, a little black ball phase round right and just up under herself getting it. And it Judge turned the clock around. It was 7.99, and then in the little small circle in the very corner, 9-9. And I was like, dude, you got to be kidding me.
Right.
And he was latched. So I mean,
Yeah.
he wasn't about to give it to me. If hey, I like to be fair, and if I was 7-9, then I was 7-9. I can't do nothing about it. It's part of it. Pay your dues and go on to the next one.
The first time I met, Matt's daddy, old Matt Dryden, I was a little kid. And they used to come to my house. My papa, he'd sell his bull crop, to Mr. Klein and Ernie Treadway, which that's up in North Carolina. But Matt, back when dude, at one time, Matt Dryden was.
That's what I heard. He was a strapping son of a gun.
Yeah.
Like he could ride the hair off of him.
And his dad, man, they had a big, nice Western store, Circle
Really?
D. Oh, yeah, man.
That's pretty cool.
Matt, the Dryden legacy is long, man. And they've been in the bull business. Like I said, years before I was even born, Matt's daddy, old Matt, was coming to our house and getting by the whole calf crop. Him pull up with a big truck trailer. But I just remember him from being a kid, and then, I got to traveling down the road, getting paid to fight bulls and travel, running into him. I think it was at Baker, Florida, and old who else was there? Dang, Rudy Burns, man.
Oh yeah, Rudy.
Man, would
He's
you
still kicking?
Yeah, would you believe he got the first place he ever fought a bull was at my house?
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
That's
Mr.
pretty
Rudy.
awesome.
Yeah, he's a cool guy, man, and he don't forget neither.
Mm-hmm.
He's he lives not far from here.
Dude, he just got hooked not too long ago.
I saw
Isn't
that.
Neat.
Yeah.
Stock contractor Cody Rayford, and a lot of Codys around here.
Yeah, right.
But Cody Rayford, he was like, "Oh, that bull's nice." His name is Puddin'.
Yeah.
And really, the bull is very nice, but Rudy was just right there in the way, and that bull
Was he in the outgators? Yeah, I saw the pictures.
He threw him straight up in the air, and Rudy went to flying. And Rudy went to talking crap to Cody. He was like, "I thought you said that bull's nice," and everybody was giving Cody Rayford some crap just because it's Rudy, older gentleman. And
I'm gonna tell you what though, Rudy back in the day.
that's a tough son of a gun.
Rudy back in the day.
Yeah.
That was a bull fighting dude. Woo, was he?
Oh, I bet.
I was at a bull riding last year, and he was clowning. Good hang up happened, and man, all of us was in there. I don't know if you know Jaden Shaw and Luke
I
Yancey.
know Robbie Shaw, Jaden, and all of them.
Yeah,
guys.
well, we was working the hang up, and we was one of us had him by the head, and the other one was going in. It's just at the time and how he was coming out. When you go to hit a hole, sometimes that bull can just push you right out, and it wasn't long, but it was long to Rudy.
Right.
And we looked up. Rudy was on the way, and we had him out. He probably wasn't hung up 2-3 seconds.
Right.
But in that instance, when you're in the tornado, it's like time slows down. It's like that movie Click or whatever. You just pause it, and here you're in here just looking at the world, and everybody's barely moving. That's how it is. I know it's the same way you riding bulls, but when it comes to fighting bulls, I think it gets even slower.
Yeah.
Especially after you've done it so long and you
don't have that adrenaline making you have tunnel vision.
Well, it's adrenaline. You think it's adrenaline rush riding one?
Yeah, I bet so. You have to run into that.
Run
into that storm, and that's a different mindset y'all gotta have. It's like,
and then riding the bulls, at most you're gonna get on 2 a night.
Yeah,
we're gonna fight 35 head.
Yeah, right. So
and talk about getting tired. I remember sometimes my legs. One time, me and Jaden was fighting a bull riding man, and we was playing with this muley, and he was hooking up, and I'd started getting fat about that time. Getting out of shape a little bit, and my legs had I got dehydrated, and it was that night I started drinking water and pounding them. I forgot what they're called. But to help you with your electrolytes.
Oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
They don't taste that good, but buddy, they work.
Pedialyte.
Pedialyte. Yeah. Well, not Pedialyte's a little thing you can pour into it. I forgot.
Liquid IV.
That's it.
Liquid
that's
IV.
exactly.
That's what they are.
Man, and I started drinking them a bunch after that. But I ran in and I put my hands on this bull, and my legs, instead of stepping and going around with him, they just carried me right on straight out through there. And I'm talking about I was doing all I could to keep my body over the top of them. But I ended up falling down, man.
Oh, man.
And that boy went to run right over the top of me and Jade and just came in like a guardian angel and just took him right off of me. And I got up. We had to fight, 5, 6 more head. And I remember thinking, I don't know how in the world my legs are going to do this. Man. But it worked out.
That whole group of Shaws, man, they're good people. And that's the best part about it, because you meet so many new friends, friends that turn into family through the rodeo world. And that's why, like, after this injury, man, so many people reached out to me from all across the United States. Hey, man, do you need a plane ticket? Hey, do I need to drive down there? Like, Cross and James Harper, big shout out to them two guys. They had a game plan how they was going to come and snatch me up from the hospital and bring me back to Louisiana.
Yeah.
Before I ever even got surgery, before I knew anybody knew. Them boys, Blade and Anthony, they went through my phone and they went to finding last people I called, talked to. Mm-hmm. And one of them was James. They told James. James called Cross called BA, Brendan Averett.
I'm sure you know him. Yeah, I know Brendan.
All three of them guys, they came together and they was like, they already had a full-on game plan how they was going to pick me up, meet in Mobile, drop me off to another vehicle, and bring me home just to get me back. So definitely big thanks. But my GoFundMe and all is in my Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok bio as well. And all the donations truly help until I get back healthy and right. Until.
But do you have insurance?
Yeah, insurance definitely helped out a lot too with medical bills.
Okay.
GMC. Conley Invitational, them guys, they called me and they're actually helping out as well.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's good.
Definitely has been a huge, tremendous help, and all of this money is going straight to recovering and food bills. Cause
survive until you get back to earning it on your
just
own.
Myself, my rent, electric, water, truck, all that. I'm paying about $18.50 a month just in bills myself.
Yeah,
and kind of a lot for just 24-year-old that lives by himself. But I mean, I never really had a home when I was growing up, and that's why I was so serious about having my own place. And now that I have it all, I immediately quit my job and was like, hey, bull riding will be my income. So, and that's what happened.
Well, it looked like you was doing pretty good at it.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much was winning everywhere I went to. I was riding. I added it up throughout all my rides from August till a few weeks ago when this injury happened. I was at 72% covering my bulls.
Oh, man, that's good.
And it was
50-50 is good, but 72.
I was doing phenomenal, and that's why I only look at it as a small little setback.
Yeah.
And
well, it ain't even a setback. It's just a pause for a major comeback.
That's right. So now while I'm healing up, I told everybody, I gave my testimony at the church Sunday. All the younger kids who wants to reach out and get my number, they're more than welcome to come over to my house. Yeah. I'll help them on stationary barrel, drop barrel, and we'll do a Bible study. And all of my time for free. I believe in the more you give back to the rodeo world, the more the rodeo world gives back to you. Right. You reap what you sow, and that's right. That's always what I firmly believe in, and that's how I'm gonna stick.
Well, I tell you what, when I was a little kid, this was way before you was born, but when 8 Seconds come out and I watched it for the first time, not gonna lie, at the end I cried. Sure. Especially when that Garth Brooks song come on, Last Dance. Oh, if you didn't cry, you didn't have a heart. You know what I mean? I don't care what you said. But when I watched him at the beginning of that movie and he was leaving the bull riding, he saw that little kid on the hay bale. Mm-hmm. I remember saying, man, when I get good enough that people will want me to stop and talk, I'm going to do it. And I think I've got more pleasure out of helping people, if it's just lifting them up in their spirits, pumping them up, saving them in a bad situation, getting in it with them. I get more out of that than I did the pay, because money just comes and goes. Right. But I've had people help me, with just being there has done more for me than if they'd have gave me $1 million because of mindset. Money comes and goes, but being able to a memory, it'll last forever. Right. And you can build off of it, add to it.
I see in my career, I want to be known more as just a bull rider. Like, I've always wanted to reach a hand out because a lot of people, they don't have that strength and power of the mindset to be able to overcome certain obstacles. I never had really that support system since 15. I was couch jumping. Yeah. I used bull ride money to buy my own first little Nissan Altima, and I was sleeping in that car for a while. But Cross would open his door for me. I stayed at the BK range for a while. James, he would open his door. Like all these rodeo friends and family, they would truly help me out. But I was just couch jumping and never really felt home. So I made sure to get a job and, you know, give back to the rodeo world. And because since I know how it feels to feel like you're alone, that's how I can help these younger guys that come from a rough childhood or don't really know how to steer through life with the correct mindset. Right. They always feel like, man, this bad thing happened to me. This is going on in the home life. Family don't care, nothing like that. And at the end of the day, you know, you got you and yourself. And you have to realize and learn how to use your own brain and mentally build yourself up. Yep. And a lot of people hasn't really came to that. You got to look yourself in the eyes in the mirror and talk to your subconscious mind and tell you, I will beat the version of you today. Become 1% better. If you constantly put your competition in somebody else, I hear it all the time. And it usually comes from people that don't win too much, but oh, such and such is here, you know, might as well pack up. Oh, this guy's here, why don't you just go to the big shows? And it's like, dude, ride your bull. The rest comes with it. Like, who cares who's entered up? Your competition is yourself. You put your competition in somebody else and you pass them up, now who are you competing against? Right. So if I can compete against myself every day and become 1% better daily, that's all that matters.
Well, it's like I was telling you the other day in our discussion, you're going to carry two things around with you every day, and it's either regret or it's discipline. Yep. And I forgot the exact guy that said it. I think his name was Jim Ryan, a real motivational guy. I love his deals. But he would say you can either, regrets weigh a ton and discipline weighs ounces. Which one do you want to carry around every day? Yep. You know, you're going to carry one or the other. I don't care if you're rich, poor, happy, or sad. Every day you're going to carry one or the other. And the discipline can be in school, getting better, trying, reading, diet, exercise.
It follows everything in life.
Yeah, discipline, and discipline is doing what you don't want to do, but you know that you have to. Exactly. Even something as small as brushing your teeth. Getting up every morning before you go in there and get your chocolate milk and your waffles, brush your teeth. Right. And anything you take discipline in is most of the time better for you. You're doing something to better gain, whatever it is. Reading a book, or listening to a podcast where you're not just entertained, but you're learning something, Discipline is going to help you out in almost every way that you.
Your music, your friends, who you surround yourself, what you read, what you watch, that all contributes to your subconscious. Like if you constantly listening to music that's talking about nothing but drugs, partying, and putting down on yourself, that's how you feel. That's why I only listen to like Young AC talking about riding bulls, or podcast, Christian stuff like going to church, and it's all in what you're feeding yourself daily. If you're only feeding yourself negative, you're only going to see the negative. If you feed yourself positive and opportunities and know that something good is coming your way, man, all you got to do is just sit there and wait. And that way, when you show up to the bull riding, you just got to go through the motions. You ain't worried about nothing else but staying on.
Man, you was talking about music. People will be like, that music don't drive which way you're doing and what you're doing.
100% does.
I tell them, I say, get in the car, go down the interstate, and let a good rock song come on, and tell me you don't become a NASCAR driver. Yep. You don't even realize you're playing Grand Theft Auto in real life, and then when that song's over, and it's back to a slow song, you're back to cruising. I tell you, it happens with me all the time.
Oh, yeah, as soon as that beat done drop, I hear my truck RPMs go, whoa, I'm flying.
I call it Grand Theft Auto in real life. You acting like you got a respawn coming.
It's something I got to work on, but I've been with so many people in the truck with me, and they're like, man, you drive like that movie, The Baby Driver. I'll be flying. I went through Atlanta doing 100 miles an hour one time.
Well, that's almost what you got to do in Atlanta. Right. If you're going under 100, you're getting run over.
Yeah, and so... but I've always been one, I'll set the cruise on, because if you're not being stupid, switching lanes and driving, this is no way by any means encouraging anybody to drive fast, but usually the cops don't really bug you. That's why I like driving at night. Less traffic, less people that's to watch out for. It's usually only you and big trucks on the road about 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. Yeah. And you set the cruise about 85, you just cruise and listen to music, and you keep on, because 9 times out of 10, I'm the one driving. I can drive a good ways, and all the buddies are in the back seat or passed out snoring. And if you're snoring in the passenger seat, you don't get Judy chopped, because I can't stand somebody just snoring constantly. Hey man, roll over something.
Right, yeah.
I'll pull up. I always like when I find them trucks that's facing you when they make
pulling backwards.
Oh yeah, and I'll get right up on them and hit the brakes, scream, holler, and I'll have everybody freaking out. But they'll stay awake. Yeah. They'll stay awake with me from then on. But man, I've had so many stories just going down the road, and Florida. I've been to Florida so many times that I can't even count. But been to 42 out of 50 states so far in my rodeo career, and hopefully more.
Well, you know what I tell people about rodeo, and I ain't gonna say I've been to 48. There's a few I ain't been to. I've been to almost most of them. I've been around the world a few times. But what I tell them about rodeoing is, it's not even the event. Mm-hmm. It's the all-nighter that you pull from Kissimmee, Florida to Phoenix, Arizona, or Boulder, Colorado, up to Fort Worth. Bull riding, at the most you're going to ride on a weekend, let's say 24 seconds, and that's 4 bulls. Mm-hmm. The fun is between here and there. Yep. The Waffle Houses at 4:30 a.m. Raising hell where I was, but I ain't gonna lie, I was wild as a peach orchard board at one time. I used to live like I thought I was a movie star. Nobody. I just lived like it. So
really, the stories that you come up with and go through, it feels like you are a movie star. Because
I was the main character in my movie, buddy.
And that's what a lot of people. Some people like to say I'm cocky, I'm arrogant, and really I'm not. I don't want to show up to the bull ride and say, hey, I'm going to take your money. No, I'm cocky for myself because I know the work I'm putting in. I'm confident in myself. And people that don't have confidence like to say that, you're arrogant, you're cocky. No, I just don't waste my time on hanging out with people that don't believe in themselves. God gave me one life, one soul. Why don't you feel as proud and confident in yourself with your life? That's something on your end that you gotta change, and that's it. Like I said, it all boils down to mindset. You can have all the talent in the world, but if you got a bad mindset, you don't make it far in the rodeo.
Well, my papa used to tell people, because I had an uncle, man, called him Cat Daddy, and between him and my brother, every bad decision I ever made in my life was with them too. Mm. But they were good at turning me up. Yeah, you know what I mean, and we'd go somewhere, and I ride pretty decent, so I'd be talking a little shit, and people would be like, you need to tell him something, he's too cocky. And what my uncle would tell him, he said, no, he's not cocky, he's just confident. Now, Lord, everybody knows I didn't ride every damn thing I put my bull rope on, right? But when I rode one, I rode them pretty, and I was gassing on it, every one of them. Mm-hmm. I don't think I ever got on one thinking I was going to buck off. Right. I got on it with the mindset of, a lot of the times, man, I'd get on one that I should have rode, but I just opened up on him. Right. I was going to spur something, and there's a lot of good bull riders around here. I tell you, do you know who Newt Ladner is? Mm-hmm. Man, he was one of the best I ever seen. Loved what he did. He was a cowboy. He didn't just ride bulls. He'd work 800 head of cows throughout the week, breaking horses. And he rode them about as pretty as anybody I ever watched. Although I did get to buck him off at the state finals one time. I had one of my bulls, and he'd talk trash all weekend about old Spider-Man. Buddy got on him in the short go, and Spider-Man got a hold of him. But he never was cocky. Yeah, he was just down home, humble, and just get on one and just ride one and just chop him down. Break one's heart. He was good.
And that's a good feeling, too. Yeah. Like I said, them animals, we got a ton of respect for them animals and stuff like that, but when all odds are against you and everybody thinks the bull's got upper hand, you go out there and you start spurring one, and you just have that feeling like, man, buck harder. You're open on that. There's no better feeling than that, because you're defeating what everybody thought about you, and also you're proving something to yourself at the same time.
Like David and Goliath.
Yep, just like that.
And that's really kind of how it is, because, the bull ain't, 20 feet tall or whatever, but he does outweigh you probably by, good 7, 8 times.
Oh yeah.
And that's why it goes back to bull riding is more mental than physical, because as long as you match them move for move, and that's where technique comes in. People say, you can sit up there and eat a sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't got to be the biggest and strongest, because talk about the Dragon Slayer. He rides as good as anybody ever did, and he's not no big muscled up guy. He smokes a pack of Marlboro Reds a day.
Right.
He just had that mindset that I'm here to, and then and he drew the rankings once every time.
But he wanted those,
Yeah.
He wanted to show, like, hey, that bull is rideable.
Yeah. Oh yeah, every bull to him's rideable, and if you got that mindset, they are.
Yep, and that's why I'd love to be on that Oklahoma Wildcatters team, just because that mindset is something that that's what I integrated into my bull ride. Like,
Yeah.
I want to be able to tell people, like, that bull's rideable. Y'all are just making him way bigger than what he is in your own mind.
Don't get me wrong. He's got more than 2 handfuls of talent.
Oh,
man.
yeah.
But he had the mindset to go along with it. you
Right.
know?
And that's what brings you out there.
Yeah,
That
for
mindset.
sure. Another guy broke out with him back in the day. Him and Brian Canner, man. Brian used to ride him.
Really?
I'm talking about how you would be able to pick Brian Canner out of a crowd was you'd look through the crowd and everybody, and he was a shorter guy.
Mm-hmm.
You'd see everybody's heads, and then you'd see about a 7 foot tall cowboy hat, and that's how you knew. And man, he wrote them just technical. I'm just as how the book is wrote.
Mm-hmm.
But JB, man, I remember watching him go to his first PBR, and it was at Madison Square Gardens, and he won it rookie year. He was number one in the world.
Yeah.
Won the first one out the gate.
That's right.
And and he never took his foot off the gas.
Yep.
And that's how you got to be. I ain't saying that it's the way you need to start out, because there is a such thing as breaking your heart. You can have the world's confident and people just feeding you to the wolves every weekend.
Yes.
Then you end up
That's when
becoming wolf shit. You know.
But that's when it comes back to having that mental strength to pick yourself back up and know, like, you can't feed into that. You
Right,
can't
yeah.
feed into nobody's opinion. You make your own opinion about yourself and go prove it to yourself. And that, at the end of the day, if you leave it all out there in the arena, then you really can't beat yourself up too much.
Oh yeah, because when you don't nobody know what you're thinking but you.
Right.
And you can have the excuses of certain things. But when you're given excuses that you know is bull crap, and then you know that you could have done this or you should have done that, you pulled your tail. And the number one thing about bull riding is keeping your chin tucked.
Yep.
I don't understand the physics behind it as much as I should, but I know wherever you look is where you land. And that's something that is, and that's the number one thing with a lot of bull riders, man. They will start a bucker, and for unknown reasons to me, they'll look at, and sometimes, there's certain moments, like if you wail down, you do got to look up, get your way out. But when you're sitting in there and you're hustling, or maybe you're a little behind, I don't understand why they look off.
I see, and that's all mental. That's just not having that mental confidence in you because you lock up.
Self-preservation.
You try to wait on that buzzer, and I tell everybody, like, don't ever think like that. I like getting on calm as to be. I could be sitting right there, bulls loaded and shoot, ropes on, sitting here cracking jokes with you, talking like we are now, until my helmet goes on. And really, even when my helmet's on, sometimes I'll still crack jokes. But once I crawl over, that's it. And to be honest, a couple people laugh at me, but I think about water going over rocks.
Yeah.
Just be calm and cool, collected, but have that aggression, that saved up, built up aggression until that gate opens. Because at that moment, if you're thinking at all, you done lost.
Yeah, that's right. You can't think. This is what I tell people a lot of times when we go to practice pens. Practice pens for thinking. Rodeos for doing. That's why you practice. You do all this between Sunday and Monday and Friday. That's where you get your brain trained for the doing. Practice pen is the thinking, and at home is the thinking. I tell you what, one guy told me one time, and it's that Uncle Cat Daddy. He's like, my granny hated to hear him say it. He's like, when you're at school and you're sitting in that chair and in that desk, you need to be the buck riding that chair. If that bull was a buck, coming to the left, kicking over his head, what you going to be doing? When you're sitting at home eating breakfast, sitting in that chair, eating your grits, You need to be thinking it's coming away from your hand. You need to come from here to here. You know, if you're not thinking it all the time, then you're not gonna do it for a career.
Right.
You've got to have your mindset, because that's part of the thinking. That the practice pen can be sitting in the car going, is you've got to have the mind working, and it's just like shooting a bow and arrow. Because I got into archery here recently, and the more you do it, and shooting in the yard prepares you better for when you're sitting in the stand. Like I killed my first buck the other day, and buddy, he was a good one, nice 8-point, first one to stick with a bow. And man, talking about bull ride, woo, you know, adrenaline rush. Ooh. Yeah. Man, when I heard that arrow smoking, woo! I called my buddy, and he was like, "Don't get down, don't get down." And it took 10 days for 2 hours to or 45 minutes. I was like, "Can I get down yet?" No, wait till I get there. Can I get down yet? You know. But the more you practice at anything, and that's how when I hit that buck, I practice it in my yard. I practice at 20, 30, 40. I go up to 60 yards, and people call it silly. I practice, you know, I'll pull my bow back, and I'll be behind the shed, and I'll practice coming out from around it. Right. You know, tactical, you know, but I'm practicing for conditions of, I might be
jump one.
Walking to the stand. I put my climber on the light pole. I practice from here. When it's windy, real windy, sometimes I'll go out there and practice in the wind. I'll practice in the rain.
Under every condition, just to be ready.
And it's because I like doing anything that you can get better at.
Right.
You know what I mean? And bow hunting, man, the more you do it, it gets into. Same thing I tell people about riding bulls. You get on one, you're gonna get on 100.
Yep.
As long as and here's what I hate to see, and I tell people this too all the time. I see them at the practice pen, first time to get on one, and I'll say, "What's the reason you're getting on this?" I'm not trying to be mean. Why are you getting on this bull? If their answer isn't, "Because I want to be the best that I can possibly be at this," I'll almost tell you need to pull that rope off. If you're getting on this bull so your girlfriend over there can take a picture, you're liable to get your neck broke first time in the practice pen.
Yep.
Because my uncle did that. First bull he ever got on, crushed his jaw, big scar down his face. Didn't care about bull riding. He was getting on it to tell the girls he got on it.
Yeah.
If you're going to do an extreme sport and you're not doing it to be the best that you can actually be, go play tennis. You know, there might be injuries in there. You may get tennis elbow, which I get from riding bulls. But the tennis ball is not sometimes looking to kill you.
Yeah.
You know? And riding bulls is really a sport of its own. And I guess bronc riding is pretty dangerous, but very few broncs are looking to come back and eat you.
Right.
You know?
I do see a lot of guys, they'll get kicked if they get out the back door and stuff. And you know, them guys say hellacious beating. Especially on their body and neck.
That's why they wear that neck brace to begin with. Woo.
And just, man, rodeo is just different. And I always loved it. Like me, I didn't come from no bull riding or nothing like that. I watched it on TV and I was just kind of like, man, I kind of want to do it. But after the first one, I was like, oh yeah, I want to be better. I want to be better than these guys. I want to be better than my friends. I want to be better than everybody that's talking crap on me for getting on a bull. And because I was the only guy at school, in high school, that rode bulls. All throughout high school, my teachers were like, oh, you ain't going to make no living off of it. You need to learn this Y equals MX plus B. I was like, all I need to know is how to lift my leg and spur to beat.
Right, yeah. Don't tell me.
You fast forward 6 years later, and it's like, now I'm making a living out of it. I've had teachers that used to teach me come up to me and was like, man, I'm sorry for saying that to you. Like,
well, no, I'm glad you did, because you was the fuel to my fire.
Right. And I had an ag teacher. They was like, man, you didn't want to do nothing in class. You just always talked about bull riding. And I've told you before how it ain't going to work out for you. You'll end up in a wheelchair or something like that. And I'm like, nah, that's not really how it's going to work. I said, watch, I'll show you. I'm going to be making a living off of riding bulls. And sure enough, now I make a living off of riding bulls.
Well, it's anything you put your mind to. Yep. But I also want, some of the people listening to understand, it's not a bad thing to get your education figured out.
No, not at all.
Maybe get a trade, because
you need money to back your rodeo. It's expensive. And
not just that, let's say, you're doing good going down the road and you get an injury to where, your first one could be can put the end to it. I'd say it's always, I'm not going to say it's good to have a backup plan, because sometimes you can't have a backup plan. Like we was talking about earlier, you got to be hungry sometimes. But I also say there's not a script to life.
Right.
You know, your story is not like their story, and you almost have to take it person by person.
Yeah.
So I hate to put broad statements out saying, you know, throw the books away and watch bull riding all day.
Right.
Because that's not everybody. The heart wants what the heart wants, but sometimes the brain is not connected, you know,
Yeah,
and you
very
really,
true.
you know, you can have a tough mental side, but you're just not tough physically.
Right.
And that's not anybody's fault. You know, that's just a book, you know, that was wrote for you, and you gotta go down your own road. And some, you know, it's just different. Like they call different strokes for different folks.
And I try to take it day by day, especially with this. I mean, even in the Bible, God says, "Don't worry about your tomorrow. Worry about today."
Yeah.
I mean, if God can feed the birds and the animals and stuff and have them fed for today, what more can He do for you?
Right.
And that's why He says, just stick with every day. Follow me. Worry about today, not tomorrow, and take it day by day. And that's really what's been helping me out.
Well,
Because every time I try to plan something,
right.
something always turns out, or a rock gets thrown in it, or some type of curve, mountain, whatever. It's not going to go exactly how you planned it. Something else is going to pop up. You got to work through it.
I tell people this is how my life is. Uncle Dan be able to tell you. I feel like my life is 10 nails. I'm gonna put 9 of them in. First drive. Get to 10. I'm gonna bend a nail. I'm gonna drop a nail. I'm gonna bend. I'll put 9 nails in 9 seconds, and it'll take me 15 minutes to put that 10th one in.
Yep.
And I feel like, man, that's in everything I do. Change 3 tires like that. 4th tire, I'm across 3, and the tire's gonna not only come off the car, roll down the hill, across the creek. You know, it's like I feel like that's life, but I've gotten so used to it. It's like that country song, you know, what a beautiful life. I learned to just, you know, when the tire's rolling, just let it roll. Man,
Right.
take in the breeze. Beautiful day. I'm thankful to be here.
That's like,
you know,
Romans chapter 5, verse 2 through 5. Learn to boast in your trials and tribulations, because through those trials and tribulations, that'll produce patience. Patience produces character. Character produces hope, and hope does not disappoint. And that's, I think, is great, because all the trials and tribulations we go through life is what makes you who you are today. And the worst that you had to come through, the better person you'll be able to become, because God molds and forms you throughout your entire life. And if you had a very bad, rough life and feel like, God, why are you constantly doing this? Because He's shaping you for something greater. And you always got to remember that, and be happy that be happy that you are going through these trials, because He knows you enough to be able to love you, to make sure you turn to Him.
well, man, I can attest to that because through my I grew up in a ranching family. Not gonna say we was rich, but we wasn't poor. Had a decent life. Definitely no criminal stuff. And then here I come, you know, wild as a peach orchard bat. There ain't nothing more I love than saving a cowboy.
That's right.
Man,
That's
ain't
right.
nothing more. And good friend of mine, Herbert Theriot, he gave me the chance to travel and fight, and I really appreciate him for that. I'm really thankful to having him in my life. But when it come time to further my story in a different route, he understood.
Heck yeah.
You know, and he let me know he hated to lose me, but he was glad to see me do better. And that comes to what you was just saying, you know. My favorite verse in the Bible is John 15:13. You know what that says?
No.
Man knows no greater love than to lay down his life for his friends.
That's awesome. Starting back in riding bulls, and continuing to spread the good news about God, and continuing to spread how to use your mind for your own greater good. Not for your mind could be your either biggest enemy, or it could be your greatest
asset.
Exactly, your greatest asset or your biggest enemy. So I want to teach people how they can use their mind to be a greatest asset in rodeo world, because so many people's got so many different things going on in their mind, and to bring and debunk a lot of the myths going on in rodeo and bull riding with people that think it's animal cruelty and just to continue spreading the word of God and just shining my light in this world.
Spreading the gospel, man.
Right. And God's got after this injury and almost dying and everything, God's got a purpose for me, and now it's my turn to figure out what that purpose is and figure out and just take it day by day.
Being a vessel for Him.
That's
you know,
right.
His greater calling.
I mean, He made me, He made my soul, so might as well let Him use me for His work.
Well, y'all heard it here first. Zack Naegele, worldwide fame. He's known all through Europe. People Magazine, Time Magazine,
Daily Mail, all of it.
Daily Mail. Y'all just we're gonna put some links in here. We're gonna try and put his GoFundMe. So if y'all would like to help out, he would greatly appreciate it. And would like to thank y'all for tuning in to the Cody K Show. Y'all have a good day.
Appreciate y'all watching. Later.
Good to have you, man.
Oh yeah, that was good.